Studios. TK Tommy Chrysant joining us at Tremonti's Meat and Seafood, and the Super Bowl is set. That is one of the major things we'll talk about today on Sports Shorts Daily. The Super Bowl is set. 2 number 4 seeds, the Bengals out of the AFC, and Joe Burrow, just a storybook that just just a tale of a tiger that just is just too good to be true, as Joe Burrow tries to become the 3rd NFL quarterback to win a national championship and then also win a Super Bowl. Joe Montana and Joe Namath, the other 2 people to do that.
Stabler and Namath.
Was it Stabler and Namath?
Montana never won a national title.
No. What were they saying? They mentioned Joe Montana's name last night at the end of that broadcast.
It's Namath. Yeah. I got something to say about them broadcasts when we get a little further here today, too. Let me finish doing ours. Like and share, everybody. That's what I'm doing.
All right. TK's doing some liking and sharing. All right. So we know this. We're going to get into it. We know that Joe Burrow and the Bengals are a 4-point dog, at least to start. We're 2 weeks away before the game. We know the over-under initially is 50.5 points. We're going to break down the San Francisco 49ers and the LA Rams championship game, where the 49ers blew a 17-7 lead. I guess turnabout's fair play. The Rams blew a big lead against the 49ers to help them get into the playoffs in the first place. The Rams come from behind, do not cover the 3.5. If you're lucky enough to get 3 earlier in the week, you got to push. The Chiefs blow a 21-10 lead at halftime and a chance to should have been up 28-10 at halftime. That's a whole nother thing we'll get into. Just crazy championship games, thrilling championship games. The playoffs were fantastic. I'm sure, probably the greatest playoff games as a group that there ever was in the NFL, and hopefully the Super Bowl will be the same in 2 weeks. Let's bring in TK over at Tremonti's Meat and Seafood. And Tommy, let's first go to the game of the day at the beginning, the Bengals. I don't know. There's never been more Cincinnati Bengals fans. I know that Charles the Great Alexander played for the Bengals, the former LSU Tiger running back in the 70s, played for them in the Super Bowl against Joe Montana in the Silverdome and lost. There are a lot of Bengals fans pulling for him, but this is crazy right now. I ran into people all weekend that was saying, I got to go get some Bengals gear. I don't have any Bengals gear. If they win, I got to get some Bengals gear. Well, you better order online. You're not going to be able to find any in any stores in the state of Louisiana. But just a tremendous game. And Joe Burrow, I really thought, Tommy, that the Chiefs were going to run away with this one, dominate this game. I thought it was too much to ask for the Bengals to go on the road again. Joe Burrow, who got sacked 9 times, been hit more than any other quarterback in the NFL this year. I thought all that was going to add up, and it just didn't.
Well, you got to credit the Bengals, and in particular, Bengals defense. Keeping them off the board at the end of the first half was unbelievable, and they just shut Patrick Mahomes down. Everybody's saying Mahomes stunk it up in the second half. Well, the Bengals defense caused that. Joe Burrow was only sacked 1 time. You mentioned the 9 sacks, but, look, it's a team win. Jamar Chase didn't, I had over 87.5 yards receiving. He only had 50-something yards. He was under that. But Higgins was big, and when they got that touchdown from P. Ryan, and then that's late in the second quarter to make it 21-10, and then the Chiefs march right down and don't get any points. That was huge. And I tell you what, the Bengal defense responded in the second half. They were amazing. It's a team game, but don't think that's not a main reason why they're in the Super Bowl. And they might have the best place kicker in the NFL. This guy has not missed in the playoffs. He has not missed in the playoffs. A rookie out of Florida, the SEC. It just means more, right? It's a team game. They got a field goal kicker that continues to hit clutch field goals, long clutch field goals, and you throw in everything else about this team, and they got it done in Arrowhead. I'm going to take to this point now, Ronnie. I don't understand the line in the Super Bowl. The Rams won in their home stadium. Close game. Hey, how about the last 6 playoff games in the NFL? Unbelievably close. But the Rams win on their home field, barely get by a 49er team. Bengals go on the road against the Chiefs and win, and they're a 4-point dog. That kind of jumps at me a little bit. Now, we got 2 weeks to decide all that. Back to the last 6 games, the 4 in the divisional round and the 2 yesterday. If you're a gambler, the edge of your seat, you're chewing your nails. It was unbelievably close can't get much better than what we saw in those 6 games. And now, I thought like yesterday, the Chiefs are going to blow out the Bengals. They're due for a blowout. You had the 4 close games. Just the league is. Didn't go that way. I tipped my hat to the Bengals. Zach Taylor, their coach, has done a good job. Offense, defense, special teams, and they're playing really, really well right now.
Last year, the Bengals won 4 games. Now, we know they would have won more had Burrow not gotten hurt with his knee and all, but still, just a tremendous story how they have turned that franchise around. And if you weren't sure, Tommy, that the NFL was a quarterback league, be sure it is. And that's why if you're a New Orleans Saints fan, you got no chance. Taysom Hill, love you, great guy, great family man, and probably can lead you to 9 or 10 wins even. But that's not going to get it done. You got to have a quarterback. Look at the Rams. The Rams last year had 10 wins. Don't get them wrong with Goff at quarterback. But the Rams were never – you never believed that the Rams were going to win a Super Bowl last year. They replaced the quarterback. They bring in Beckham in the middle of the year. They have a little hiccup in the middle of the season towards the end. And then all of a sudden, bam, the Rams with that defense has a quarterback that can get it done, albeit, a little shaky. 3 wins and the big comeback again, the big win against Tampa on the road and be able to come down and all that, answer the comeback that Tom had. Stafford has now shaken all of the rap that he had in Detroit. You put him on a good team in a different environment, and you see what you have. You've got a guy in Matt Stafford who, had he been playing in a Los Angeles or all his career, would have been looked at completely differently than he was in Detroit, which was he's got a lot of heart, he's got a big arm, but he's never going to win. He's now in a Super Bowl. Joe Burrow in his second year is in a Super Bowl, changed the course of the Cincinnati Bengals franchise, even with a so-so offensive line. It goes to show you, Tommy, you have to have an upper-tier quarterback in order to win a Super Bowl.
I agree completely. Now everybody crashing on the Bengals offensive line. Burrow has only sacked once, Jesse. Now he was pressured. He had to move a lot, but that's part of it. Okay, I mean these are the 4 teams yesterday. The teams playing the best football in the league, but the Rams, like the Bengals, offense, defense, special teams. And when Stafford was in Detroit, lots of people said, "Hey, this guy just doesn't have enough people around him." Some of the hardcore NFL scouts and front office people, they knew he was better than what was being produced. And now, he's got his team playing in the Super Bowl, and they got a lot of weapons, and they're playing good football. I mean, Super Bowl game might be one of the best ever. Now, it could be a blowout. We know that. But, man, on paper, this is the 2 number 4 seeds. Since the NFL began seeding the playoffs, this is the worst Super Bowl matchup. If you add the 2 4s together, it's 8. No. They've never had a number that high in the Super Bowl matchup. So, man, and then, hey, the Bengals go on the road, and get it done. I mean, wow.
You mentioned McPherson, Craig, reminding folks that he is the kicker that missed the final field goal in the fog during the LSU-Florida shoe game. But he has been money in the NFL. And you look at the Bengals, Tommy, and you get the feeling with the Bengals and Joe Burrow and what they're building and how young that team is that they're sort of like the Chiefs were 4 years ago when you had Mahomes come in there with all the young guns and young weapons, and you thought, okay, this is going to be the dynasty, for the next X amount of years. And look, I'm not sleeping on the Chiefs at all. They blew that lead, and we'll get into the game. But, I mean, the Chiefs I'm so excited for the AFC for the future when you talk about the Bills and the Bengals and the Chiefs, and then you probably with Aaron Rodgers likely headed to Denver. My God, I mean, it's going to be unbelievable. A lot of fun if that does happen. If they get Adams and Rodgers over in Denver, the fun we're going to have on the AFC. I mean, you come out of that thing. Remember the NFC? It used to be if you won the NFC, you're going to win the Super Bowl. They went through a phase before Tom Brady. Well, it might be like that for the AFC in the coming decade. But that said, you feel like the Bengals I feel like they opened that bottle of champagne too soon. They're supposed to do this maybe next year or the year after. They're doing it this year, Tommy, with the youngest roster, the second youngest roster in the NFL, something like that. There's no reason to believe they can't go on a roll now if Burrow's healthy.
whether they win or lose the Super Bowl, they're certainly going to address some needs. They got, shore up the offensive line, although they played well against the Chiefs, and they plug another piece or two in there because, like you said, second youngest roster in the league. And, I think the torch has been passed certainly in their division to them.
Right.
Now, we'll see in the AFC if it's going to be torched. But like you said, that has tipped over the decades where the AFC is better than the NFC, just like baseball. Sometimes the American League's a lot better than the National League. I mean, and vice versa. It's just part of the landscape. But, hey, I think that the Super Bowl ratings are going to be through the roof for TV because you got two teams, that no one expected to be there, even as much as 3 months ago, 2.5 months ago. Nobody thought these two teams would be in the Super Bowl, including me. I'm guilty of that. So, but I think it's fun, and I think it's great for the game of football. The NFL with what they've put out on the field the last 6 games has just been incredible. But man, it was fun to watch. I enjoyed it. Now, I don't know if we didn't talk about this, but Tony Romo made the biggest mistake in announcing history because I think he forgot to score. I had my phone blew up with people that I don't hear from all the time saying, did you hear what Romo just said? I think he walks that back today and admits that he made a mistake. We all make them. I make them every day. But, come on, Tony Romo.
You're talking about at the end when he was talking about
when he said, let him score.
Right. It was bizarre. And listen, I think Tony Romo
down, not if you're up.
I think Tony Romo does a good job. I don't think Tony Romo is like the greatest ever to do it. I don't think he's like, he's changed the game like John Madden. I think he's completely overhyped. And I think, and good for him that he's got a gazillion-dollar contract. I think he's good and he's entertaining, but I don't think he's like, oh, my God, amazing. And he's done this before, Tommy. He's big on end of the game. Let him score, don't score. Like I've watched games before where he's had these breakdowns of, well, you got a decision to make here, and maybe you try to run it down, take a knee. Listen, man, in the NFL, unless it's the only scenario, Tommy, is if you're down, if the what was it, the situation? Okay, if the Chiefs had been, if the Bengals had been up by 1 or 2 points, and they are there on the 4 or 5 yard line, yes, then there's a conversation of these guys can run the clock down to nothing and kick a field goal, win the game, and it's a 99% make from the 4 yard line. Okay, maybe we let them score with a minute something left on the clock so that we have time to go down and get a touchdown. That's the only scenario where you have that let them score, don't score. Other than that, you always are going to try to keep them out of the end zone. And so this over-analysis where we're hearing constantly, not just him, a lot of people, well, you should score, take a knee. No, bro, you always score the touchdown if you're on offense, and you always try to let them not score the touchdown if you're on defense. Nothing to talk about other than that.
Here's what Romo does. This is a sportscasting trick, okay? And he's not calling the Super Bowl. It's on NBC. But he middles himself. Example, he'll say, like at the end of the half when the Chiefs didn't score, he goes, I really think the Chiefs are going to win this game, but I won't be surprised if the Bengals come back. Okay, you middled yourself. You're talking on both sides of the fence. And he does that all the time. And if again, I listen to maybe a little bit different than some people because I've announced a lot of games over the years, and I try to learn from announcers, but he does all of that stuff. And Jim Rance was stunned. He couldn't believe. That's I'm looking at Chance's question here.
Yeah. Jim Nance.
He was speechless because he couldn't believe Romo said that. And Nance has been around forever. Yeah, I just hope Romo comes out today and says, "Hey, look, I look back on it, made a mistake. Everybody makes mistakes, including you and I, Ronnie. So it is what it is."
All right, so let's get back to the game. There's 2 things I want to get your opinion on.
Okay.
First off, the Chiefs are up 21-10. They're doing everything they want on offense in the first half, just like the first game, by the way. To me, it was crazy how these 2 games mirrored each other. Week 17 in Cincinnati, in the playoffs in KC, they looked like the same game. So Chiefs are doing anything they want on offense. They've got the ball down there on the 1 yard line, with no timeouts left. I don't understand the situation why they decided to, with 5 seconds left. To me, it doesn't matter who's playing quarterback. In this day and age, Tommy, they have the walkie-talkie, right? They're able to talk to each other. So Reed's able to talk to Mahomes in his headset. it doesn't matter who's playing quarterback, whether it's Tom Brady or Ronnie Rance. You say, here's the play, but hey, if it's not there, throw it away. We kick the field goal. That's the last thing that you should say, right before you hang up the phone, And but I will say this: he admitted in the press conference, Tommy, Mahomes admitted, I got greedy, because that's exactly what I thought he did. And he admitted it. He said, I got greedy. I threw it out in the flat. I was trying to, get it, make it happen. And that cost them the game. As soon as it happened, I went, you just opened the door for the Bengals, because even if it's a field goal, if you go up 2 scores at home, come on, they're not losing that game.
I thought they were thinking, they knew they were getting the ball third quarter. Okay, they're going to receive the second half kickoff. I'm thinking, hey, roll the dice here. We're going to get the ball back again before they get it. That crossed my mind. But, it's the AFC Championship. Points. You got to get points. When he threw the ball to Hill, sideways basically. Right. I mean, that was the, and I know what he's trying to do there. I mean, Hill jukes a little bit. Makes one guy miss. He's in the end zone. Right. That's how Mummy's air raid thing. Quickly give the ball to somebody who can make somebody miss and run for however many yards. And you only had to get a couple in this case. But it was a blunder. It was a mistake. Again, they're getting the ball third quarter. What happened? 3 and out. So, boom. It was the Bengals. That momentum jumped onto the Bengals sideline when the Chiefs got 0 points down there late, even though the Chiefs got the ball third quarter.
But what it does, Tommy, is now you go into the locker room, and now the Bengals think, they feel good about themselves. They feel like, hey, we did defense, nice job. They're positive, and the Chiefs go in there finger pointing and going, what the hell did you do? Because Andy Reid at the press conference, he worries, hey, I should have called a better play that didn't have that opportunity. Yeah, but you called the right play. Just NFL veteran quarterback. One step. Throw the slant. It's not there. You throw it out the back of the end zone. You kick the field goal. They go into the locker room demoralized by 14 points, and you're up 14 points, and you can't do any better than about 24 points and a half. So that was a giant blunder, and it's amazing after that how the game turned on its head, and the Chiefs couldn't do anything on offense the rest of the way.
Well, really, if you look at the last minute and a few seconds, the P. Ryan touchdown on the screen, which he made an incredible effort to get in the end zone, and then the no point, that's potentially a 14-point swing, certainly a 10-point swing in the favor of the Bengals. You always talk about hidden yardage and flipping the field. That was a swing in the betting world and in the outcome world that were unbelievable. Hey, the one good thing somebody tweeted me this morning about the Chiefs losing, Matt House, they're going to be in Baton Rouge to be the defensive coordinator for Brian Kelly real soon. He doesn't have to wait another couple of weeks. I would guess he's in town the next day or two.
By the way, I agree with this, Craig. Why did Kansas City stop throwing at Eli Apple? He was getting toasted in the first half. Yeah, nobody feeling bad for Eli Apple. So let's go to the end of the game. Okay. The Chiefs now are driving the ball. The Chiefs are driving the ball down there, Tommy, at the end of the game. They get to the 5-yard line. And once again, as much as I love Patrick Mahomes, and I can't wait to talk to him now that he's got time, we'll have him on Sports Shorts Radio this Saturday morning, right around 10:50 in the morning. He'll join us because I got so many questions for him. But I feel like, Tommy, he is overly confident. We saw that with 5 seconds to go where he throws it in the flat. And then at the end of the game, he's overly confident in his abilities. I think he's a little at times disrespectful of the other team's skill set. Like, you got to manage it and be a little bit more conservative at times. You got to know the situation. And hey, when you're on the 4 or 5 yard line, you can't take a sack. You can't lose yardage. You can't go the other way. If it's not there, get rid of it and live to play the next play. You have to want to score a touchdown in that situation, not try to kick the field goal. And if I got Travis Kelce and I'm at the 5 yard line and I got 3 plays to get into the end zone with Travis Kelce, how the hell he doesn't get a football thrown to him? I don't care if he's got 3 people around him. Throw it up high, let him jump up and get it. I mean, you got to find a way to get him the football in that situation. I was stunned. I thought the Kansas City Chiefs were going to win. They weren't going to cover, and that was how the game was going to end. As it turned out, they were lucky to go to overtime and, fortunate to go to overtime with that long kick, and then the rest is history.
And while talking about Mahomes' performance, let's give some credit to the Bengals defense. They were incredible yesterday, all levels. The front line, Hendrickson, the former New Orleans Saint, he made play after play out there, and And then the linebackers are so athletic. And then the secondary, in spite of Eli Apple, they got it done.
Let me ask you this. I'm screaming at the TV at the end in overtime when Mixon, I thought, fumbled the football. Did you think he fumbled the football? He catches that. He runs around the left end. He trips over. He bumps into his offensive lineman, falls on the ground. Nobody touches him. He flips the football on the ground, and a Chief player picked it up. The whistle was blown because the Chiefs were wanting to call the timeout. They were talking about formation and can you review that? Never did CBS ever talk about did he fumble or not. My brother's texting me. I'm screaming at the TV. I thought Mixon was never touched by a defender. He fell on the ground. The play wasn't over. He flipped the ball. A Chief guy picked it up. I thought it was Kansas City's football at the end of the game. I'm surprised that hasn't been a big topic.
I agree with you completely. I got some texts as well. I'm like you, right? And I enjoy it. I got texts coming from different states, all different friends, and some of these friends don't even know each other. But we kind of got that loop going. But yeah, I agree with you 100%. I thought it was a fumble, and I was a little mystified that it wasn't talked about, like you said.
I mean, in that situation, the Chiefs can't review it. We believe that what they were talking about. So Byron's saying they said he gave himself up.
No, that's a judgment call.
That's a judgment, exactly.
You don't do that in the AFC Championship. You play through the whistle, is the old saying in football. And I can't believe the Chiefs didn't. I mean, if it's not reviewable, they should have just still been going nuts about it.
Right. I mean,
and here's another thing, Ronnie. That brings me another time. Nothing should be not reviewable. You got 36 cameras in the AFC Championship game. I don't want to hear it's not reviewable because guess what? Everybody can review it at home. They can back up the DVR thing. Screw this not reviewable thing. I mean, eliminate it instantly because everything should be reviewable. Now, you might not have conclusive evidence, as they like to say, but I'm tired of this it's not reviewable stuff. And it happens in baseball. Certain things in baseball aren't reviewable. BS. Review it. If you got the video, if you don't have the video, say, hey, we don't have it.
By the way, did anybody ask the Chiefs if he gave? I mean, you can't just give yourself up and it's one-sided. You know what I mean? Like, you got a player who's running for the end zone.
But if a Chief player would have, pounded him, he'd have got a penalty. I mean,
right.
Hey, look, I think the officiating was okay for the weekend. They certainly missed their handful of things, but that's going to happen. They're going to miss things. And, I'm
just stunned at that the CBS who producers and
they had a bad day anyway.
People in that truck. They got a crew of 60. How they didn't say because they had a timeout. Hey, yeah, we're looking at the formation that they missed. They missed that call. You can't review formation alignment. Okay. But, oh, by the way, this guy may have fumbled. I mean, everybody else in the world's going, wait a minute, he wasn't touched. And the Chiefs came up with the football. Like, that's a giant play that wasn't talked about.
Rodney, I worked for the NFL Network in a Louisiana Tech game a couple of years ago. There were 55 people on that crew for a Louisiana Tech Southern Miss game. I promise you there were 200 people on the crew for that game yesterday. And then, of course, putting the guys on the field at halftime with the band behind them, nobody could hear. Well, let me tell you something. Ronnie, I came to a conclusion last night. You ready for this? NFL pregame, halftime, and postgame shows or why the mute button was invented.
Say that again?
NFL pregames, halftime shows, and postgames or why the mute button was invented on TV. I guarantee you, as soon as that clock's at the end of the half says 0-0-0, I hit the mute button. And in a regular season, halftime's pretty quick. It's a little longer in the playoffs. But I keep that on because I don't want to miss the third quarter kickoff, but I don't listen to a word of that. So you couldn't have heard it yesterday with CBS anyway, with their brainchild idea to put the announcers about 20 or 30 yards from the band playing at full volume. I mean, it was a joke. And, that's why the mute button was invented. People mute it, call your friends, respond to your texts, go get another cold pop. I mean, that's what halftime's fun, not to listen to those clowns.
Well, nowadays they've got too many people on the set, right? You got 5 and 6 people on a set, and so everybody has 10 seconds to say something. So you can't really make a point in 10 seconds, and they're not going to be too controversial anyway, or really tell it like it is. So it's a watered down, quick hitting. just a deal. It was a little
ridiculous.
silly.
Well, and I know they all want to get on the gambling end of it in the pregame, and that's fine. People like that. I get that, especially if you haven't placed your bet yet. If you already placed your bet, you don't care what they said. But no, the mute button is very popular in the NFL when the clock's not running.
That's right. Craig Schilling, they're very quick. I thought of that too. Say that again. Ronnie muted TK when you were talking about that.
That's funny. Hey, that's the line of the month. And we're at the end of the month. Craig, you're not going to get topped.
Halftime is just bobblehead talk, according to
Worse.
Chance.
I'd rather hear bobbleheads, Chance.
And then finally, Steven jumping on the wagon late. We all said it too. Quite possibly the worst call game of Romo's TV career.
Next year, listen to Romo. He goes on both sides of the fence with every opinion so that he can really say I'm not wrong.
Let's move over to the 49ers Rams game. Rams don't cover. They come back from 17-7 down, and they end up winning a game. It's amazing. 54 Super Bowls without the host city having their home team playing in it. Now back-to-back years, Tampa hosting and they're in it, and the Rams hosting and they're in it. They're a 4-point favorite. You expect that line to go down over the next 2 weeks as far as people jumping on the Burrow wagon. But is this Garoppolo's last game with San Francisco?
There's a lot of conversation about that. There's going to be a lot of roster changes in the offseason, and his name is near the top of that list. And, if he wins, no. But now that he lost, can they get something for him? A lot of teams need a quarterback. And as you said earlier, Ronnie, if you don't have a quarterback, you're not going to be playing in February or late January.
It felt like it. He talked about it at a press conference. Obviously, he didn't say much. Said, we'll learn a lot in the next couple of days and feel a lot of things. I think this is it for him. I just don't know how you waste a high first-round draft pick on a quarterback and not go for it. And then if you're San Francisco, you can fall and you can hide behind the fact, and they may not say it publicly, but you can justify it in your head and say, hey, they didn't really, they didn't do anything offensively in Green Bay, and they didn't do much offensively against the Rams. They blew a lead. He's a good quarterback, but not good enough for us to win a Super Bowl. And so we're going to go in a different direction. I think that's extremely risky. In the NFL, give me a top 15 quarterback. Give me a winner quarterback. Give me a guy who does all the right things, that's beloved by teammates and all that kind of thing. Like, give me that guy over I'm going to roll the dice on an unknown, rookie or a reach from a 1AA player, type of thing. I think it's extremely risky, but at the same time, it's their team. They can do what they want, but there'll be a market for Garoppolo. If this is it in San Francisco, there's going to be a lot of people who will take him.
He's better than anybody the Saints got, unless Winston can bounce back from surgery. I mean, he's clearly better than Taysom Hill ever thought about being.
And look, at this point, based on what we saw, Jameis Winston won games, Tommy. I mean, he obviously was 5-2 as a starter, but did he win games, or was he? He played well in moments, but it wasn't like Jameis Winston was Drew Brees and he threw for
no. I agree with that.
He just kind of played okay, and the team played well, but I didn't feel like and clearly. Clearly, that's kind of like Garoppolo. He's not a guy that just, hey, put it on my back and I'm going to lead us to victory type of thing. He did the same thing that Jameis kind of did. I just think with Jameis, do you believe he is reformed with his turnovers? Do you believe that Jameis Winston now is going to throw less than 10 interceptions a year and he's not going to fumble the football and all that? That to me, that's the whole decision, not anything else. Got the arm, can make the throws, all that. It's just whether or not is he going to have 15 plus turnovers between interceptions and fumbles. If you think it's under, then I think you take it.
Yeah, well, and that's going to be up to the new coach, to make that decision. But I've seen the videos of Winston, working with the resistance bands and doing the little side steps and the drop backs in the training room. The beginning part of therapy. And I've seen that, and it's good to see that he's trying to work, because right now he's the best option at quarterback for the Saints. But those options could change with Russell Wilson, who knows what, Garoppolo. I mean, you just don't know right now. It could change a lot. We'll have to let that play out.
Okay, so Matthew Stafford, Odell Beckham, Cup. I mean, I'm even though it's 4 seeds, and I asked the question: is this the most excited you've been for a Super Bowl since Saints-Colts, and for you personally?
Yeah, I think, the Joe Burrow story, because we watched what he did at LSU, adds to the intrigue. And I think it's going to be a heck of a football game. I mean, look what we've seen the last 6 times the NFL lined up to play a playoff game, collectively. So I'm looking forward to it. This week, a few other things, and the hype will, amp up next week, and I'll start diving into everything and trying to figure out what I think. There'll be a ton of prop bets. We always do that for the Super Bowl with my podcast, and and then of course meatandpotatoesusa.com. We'll have a lot of college basketball between now and then we'll have plenty of Super Bowl stuff. So we'll see. But to answer your question, I'm excited about this Super Bowl. I think for me personally, it's because it's 2 number 4 seeds, and then you throw in the Burrow story and all the LSU guys on both teams, and the Louisiana flavor involved. I'm looking forward to it.
First NFL quarterback in the Super Bowl since David Woodley. It's different when an LSU player. It's different when a quarterback is in the Super Bowl. We've had, obviously the Chiefs had tons of LSU players, and we love Tyrann Mathieu and Clyde Edwards-Helaire and all that stuff. We've always had LSU players in Super Bowls, and that makes it interesting. But we hadn't had quarterbacks, and we hadn't had a dude like Burrow. I mean, this guy won a national championship. A Heisman's got a chance to win the Super Bowl. I don't know if that's ever been done before. And the thing about it is when you're the quarterback and you're a superstar quarterback, a guy who's an MVP candidate and a guy who's just at the beginning of his career, it feels completely different. If it was just Jamar Chase and a bunch of offensive linemen and all that, Tyler Shelvin, it's not the same. It's Joe Burrow in the Super Bowl, first of what we think will probably be multiple times in the Super Bowl, and it just means something different. I'm excited for Odell Beckham and all that, but at the same time, I'm pumped. I can't wait. I wish it was here now, and I agree with you, Tommy. If you think the Bengals are your pick, get it now if you can at +4, because I do think as people dive in on it, this line will either stay the same or go down. I do not think it'll go up. The question is going to be whether people believe that the Bengals can block Donald. I mean, what are they going to do over the next 2 weeks to figure out, if that offensive line can block the defensive line of the Rams? That's the whole story.
Well, quickly, another Ram. I'm happy for Andrew Whitworth, the big guy. Louisiana, West Monroe, LSU, been around forever. We got burned really bad on one play yesterday, but it happens. But so I'm happy for Whitworth. But Aaron Donald's as good as it gets, and then if you put too much attention on him, Von Miller can still get it done a little bit. Yeah, I see Chance's comment there. There's gonna be more publicity for the LSU program in the next couple of weeks than they ever had, and it's not Joe Montana. He never won a national championship at Notre Dame.
What
Kenny
he's saying
Stabler
is this is where I got it from, Tommy. This is why I was confused. They said yesterday, Joe Namath, Joe Montana, only 2 quarterbacks to win a national championship, win a Super Bowl. Now, you saying they did not win a national championship when he was at Notre Dame?
Correct. No way. And Ken Stabler did it.
They said that no. Joe's quarterback's name Joe is what they're talking about. Maybe they meant
Montana did not win a national championship at Notre Dame.
He did not. He had that big comeback for the Cotton Bowl, but he never won a title. You're right.
No.
Yeah, they said it on the air. So another boo-boo.
CBS had a bad day all the way around, and thank goodness they're not doing the Super Bowl.
All right. So, by the way, while I look it up just to make sure 1,000%, because I agree. I remember. Let's see. Joe Montana, Wikipedia. We're going back to his college days. The best he ever. I remember that great comeback in the Cotton Bowl that everybody
against Texas. Yeah.
Against Texas. His college career. Let's go through. Maybe he was on the team. They won the let's see, and 73. Yeah, he didn't get there to 74. They won the championship in 73.
He didn't. So, I'm telling you, I don't think I have to look that one up. Now, if I'm wrong, I'll eat crow. But
against a 76 before this time was a separated shoulder. 77, third quarterback listed. Notre Dame won the season opener. Yeah, no. After his fifth year, Montana, Notre Dame would come from behind a bit. Cotton Bowl game, Houston performance. Nope. I'm trying to see, like, did we miss something here? But for whatever reason, they said that.
Joe Namath won it at Bama in 64, won it with the Jets. Stabler won it at Bama in 65, won it with the Raiders. Now Joe Burrow has a chance to win it. Now, Stabler actually won a high school state championship at Foley High School in Alabama. He's the only one that can say he won all three.
I agree with this, Byron. Listen, I'm the old guy. Get off my lawn. Joe Burrow showed up looking like a cross between Joe Namath and a rap star yesterday, and his outfits are, he's not quite Cam Newton with his outfits, but like a pimp or something. But he's
Joe Cool. He has redefined Joe Cool. Going back to the cigar picture in the LSU uni sitting on the bench, that started the Joe Burrow Joe Cool. And now the way he shows up with them glasses, I mean, hey, he's on the top of the mountain right now. And if he wins a Super Bowl, he'll jump higher than that.
So Chance is saying, Burrow would be the first to win the Natty, the Super Bowl, and the Heisman. Okay,
that's correct.
And then Stephen Miller says, "Oof, I just saw that Schefter posted it talking about."
Oh yeah, that's it. Because he is. I don't know why they pay that guy. He is awful.
All right, well, Adam Schefter got us on Sports Shorts Daily.
Oh, he is so bad. Gee whiz.
We called him out. All right, we'll be back on Wednesday. We'll talk a lot about LSU basketball, men's and women's. We didn't get a chance to get into
baseball,
it today.
Tiger baseball, Jay Johnson. I'm ready.
Yeah. And you went to a press conference for Jay Johnson for Tiger baseball last week and learned nothing. Didn't say anything.
We'll talk about that Wednesday. Yeah. We got plenty of time to talk about that. Hey, don't forget Tremonti's Meat and Seafood, chicken fried steak for lunch today. They can cater. They got the Chairman's Reserve beef. They just filled up all the steaks. They've loaded up on the wine and whiskey selection. Wine for all you Valentine's gifts. Just come get a gift card or get some wine for the other person and go from there. Tremonti's Meat and Seafood. Connect on Facebook and Instagram, tremontis.com. And, of course, Wednesday we'll be out at Court Street Cafe in Port Allen. Looking forward to it. Like and share this video, folks. That's all it costs for you to enjoy all this, whatever it is. Like and share.
I appreciate everybody watching. We'll be back on Wednesday morning. Until then, thanks to LeBear's Casino for helping bringing this show to you. Make sure, like Tommy says, you like and share. Have a great one, everyone.